Work environment for our men and women, it's always important. When you can walk in and feel valued and feel like you're part of a family, fair treatment, I think all those things play different. Don't be afraid to reach out, to have a conversation with someone at the department you either want to go into or someone who's in law enforcement. Challenge yourself, do some self-assessment, and the world's the limit, really. Yeah.
Chief Trevor Shin, a proud Golden Pioneer from North Miami Senior High, class of '84. He served 28 years with the North Miami Police Department, retiring as a major after completing the FBI Academy.
What advice would you give somebody that's actually interested in law enforcement or getting into it?
Be receptive to feedback, have the desire to continue to grow, to prepare yourself and gain knowledge. When that opportunity presents itself, it's not luck, it's how you prepared yourself.
Why should someone apply for UMPD? Welcome to Jules Legacy Enterprise Productions, where story connects generations. A conversation with a pioneer. A segment that celebrates the life and journey of North Miami Senior High School pioneers by bridging the past and the present to inspire the future. Behind every name, there is a story. Chief Trevor Shin, graduated from 1984. Not only he's an alumnus, but he is a Golden Pioneer recipient who had 28 years of experience from North Miami Police Department and retired as a major after completing the FBI Academy. He's currently the Chief of Police at University of Miami, who holds a bachelor and master's in public administration. It is with great pleasure to have him here in the studio. Chief, how did you get into law enforcement?
Well, it started first. I'm a pioneer.
Yes.
And a proud pioneer, and that's how the journey really began.
Right.
It really began. I loved sports. I ran around the streets here in North Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in the recreation department, but I had an opportunity to play football for Larry Ball, who was a former Miami Dolphin football player. Actually played on the '72 team.
Oh, really?
They were undefeated. Yes. Yeah. And he was a young man at the time, and I had a twin brother, and there was a core of us that he took under our wings. If you're a football player or you play any sport, you look towards your coaches as mentors.
Right.
So it was Coach Larry Ball and another gentleman by the name of Coach Gerald Latito, and there were other coaches and other teachers, but those two really, I really connected with them. They guided me. I went away to college, right out of high school, to a small school in Virginia, and my goal was to be a teacher because I resonated towards educators. Because coming up in the high school and being involved with the school, that's what I wanted to do. I came back right away after 6 months in college because my grades were bad, and I do remember the football coach up there. His name was Coach Davis. He defensive coordinator at this very small school.
Okay.
And when I told him I was leaving, he told me, "You're never going to end up being nothing. You're
Wow.
going to quit college. You're going to be pumping gas someplace." And I never forgot that he told me that. So, but he didn't know that I had a good foundation of people down here in North Miami who cared and wanted to mentor me. So anyway, I come back, and they were helping me get my grades back up, and they allowed me to start helping them on the football field. And it just started off as just helping them out, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed putting the time in. I enjoyed the X's and O's and mapping out and coming up with a game plan. And so I coached high school football under Larry and under Coach Tito for a few years, and then my brother, who went on and finished his education right away, he became a football coach, and he coached with us at North Miami. Then he became a head football coach at Barbara Goldman. He opened up that.
Oh, nice.
So I had an opportunity to really give back to do something I enjoyed.
Okay.
So anyway, at the time I'm coaching, I wanted to continue my education, and when I came home, my dad says, "You're home, you're paying rent. You came back from college, you're paying rent," because they had transitioned and moved up to North Carolina. So I'm paying rent, coaching sports, trying to go to school part-time. And as I'm coaching sports, I start meeting some coaching young kids, and their parents are police officers in North Miami. They were the Kinseys. And I start talking to them, and they kind of guided me towards encouraging me to be a police officer. They said it's a very rewarding career. You can give back to the community. You can make a positive impact. So then I talked to Coach Ball, and he says, "Listen, give it a shot."
Wow.
So that's what I did. I applied with North Miami, and I actually applied with Hollywood. I mean, Jason Thomas, very good friend of mine, we both applied at Hollywood, and he was picked up, and they were going to bring me on as a public service aide, but I was in the process with North Miami at the same time. And
Okay.
I got hired with North Miami, and a great career. I really had a great career. Worked with a lot of good people. Learned every day.
Of course.
Still learning. And that's how I got into law enforcement. And one of the things that I did as I continued to coach, I continued to maintain relationships, positive relationships. I actually coached Duke Sori.
Oh, really?
Coached him when he was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
Coached Duke Sori when he was 10 years old. And then obviously he came and worked with the city.
Right,
And
right.
started in the budget, and then became a city manager. I still talk to him from time to time.
Nice.
I coached Miranda,
Carlos Miranda?
Maycock.
Really?
I hired both of those, and there was another young man named David Balladares. They were both on the same football team at Barbara Goldman. All three of them were on the same football team at Barbara Goldman.
Oh, nice.
There was another young man I coached, Patterson.
Okay.
So I was reaching out to these folks.
Right.
Recruiting, because I was doing the hiring for North Miami.
Right.
And all those folks came up and they did very well.
When did you complete the academy?
The FBI Academy? Or,
No, the police academy.
excuse me, 1989.
1989.
And was it 6 months back then, the same way?
Yeah, 6 months. Yeah, 6 months.
How was the academy? What did you do it? How was it?
So I did it at the Miami-Dade Police Academy, Miami-Dade College. There was 8 of us from North Miami.
Okay.
Yeah. No one is still working. I'm the only one who's still working. I think Larry Taddeo may be working part-time.
Okay.
No one's still working with North Miami. I enjoyed it. To me, because I played sports,
Right.
there was a regiment. I had no military background, but it was a good regiment. You had to do your exercises in the morning. You had to do your class runs. You got into a lot of teamwork stuff. And, the camaraderie, helping each other study. We had study groups.
Right.
The professors, the TAs were all good.
Chief, we had 3 officers who died in the line of duty. I believe the last one died in 1992. Lynette Hodge.
Lynette Hodge.
How was
right here on 23rd and Biscayne Boulevard.
How was it, or how was the tension in at that time?
Well, it's first of all it's a tragedy,
Right.
when anyone passes, and then when you have the camaraderie of the law enforcement and people who go out to do good, to be the knights of the community, and you lose one in the line of duty, and that one, she was responding to back up another officer.
Right.
And she was a very young officer. If I remember right, she may have been right around a year on.
Yes.
Maybe a little less.
1 year.
And you bring that up, Steve Bauer, is his anniversary. It was either yesterday or today.
Right.
When he was killed at Kislak Bank.
Yes.
And I just got a message late last night that there's another appeal of the offenders who were charged, going through an appeal process. They're on death row.
Right.
So that it's those are the 2 I worked with. I had to. It resonates with you. I think it's something that the culture has to go through.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen again. We just lost two officers in Dade County recently.
Yeah.
Right.
One was a former, had a short stint at the city of Coral Gables, which we're combined with Coral Gables.
Right.
Our relationship with Coral Gables is very strong. And then he was a sheriff's officer after, and he got killed. I think it's something that the departments go through, the community goes through. I think we come out, makes us more resilient, stronger, the bond grows. We're there to support the families, the law enforcement assistant trust fund does a lot. The Dade Chiefs Association and all the agencies, not only in Dade County but Brown County, we come together and we make sure wellness is in the forefront of law enforcement. It's really come to fruition over the last decade. Many years ago, you didn't talk about how you were feeling.
Of
now
course.
we are.
You left the North Miami Police Department in 2016 to go to University of Miami. Why? Why did you leave and decide to retire at that time?
I was scared when I went. I had a wonderful career at North Miami, and I was a police major.
Yes.
I had continued. I had a bachelor's degree at the time. I had gone to the FBI National Academy, and I was at the age where I could go and start a second career,
Right.
and collect my pension, and you look for opportunities to advance your own income, and then also contribute it to another organization.
Right.
So I was looking. I wasn't looking hard, and then I saw an ad through the Dade Chiefs. They reached out to their membership and said there was a administrative lieutenant position opened up there. And I did my research. I met the former chief, Chief Rivera. We had a lot in common. I had to compete for the job. A lot of people had put in for it, and I went over there as a lieutenant. And it was tough walking away from North Miami.
Yeah, but that's a lower rank, isn't it?
It's a lower rank.
Right.
You look at the size of the department and the structure, and that's what I was looking at.
Right.
There was a chief, a captain, and then lieutenants. So, and then the task I was doing, because it's a smaller agency, so smaller agencies, a lot of the administrative tasks gets pushed down, further down. So we had the chief, an assistant chief, and then majors.
Right.
So I was like third in the structure, and,
Right.
and the pay was comparable to what I was making.
Right.
So it wasn't, sometimes you have to take a step down.
That's exactly where I was going.
Sometimes you have to alter your course. You think, oh, I'm a major now, I'm going to go become an assistant chief or a major someplace else. Sometimes you have to put yourself in a position maybe to row down a different canal to get to maybe where you want to be.
Right. That's why I was alluding to, because you said you took a chance because you were kind of afraid to go, right?
I just didn't know anybody. I wasn't afraid of the work.
Right.
I wasn't afraid of the challenges. I was because I thought I had prepared myself.
Right.
But I was afraid, walking into an organization, you
don't know anyone.
I didn't know anybody.
Right.
Not one person.
Right.
I didn't know one person. But then, you develop relationships.
Right.
And you develop the trust, and you become part of a team. I became part of the leadership team there, and everything worked out. I was there 9 years before I had the opportunity to take over as a chief.
This is my very first chance of having to interview a chief of police.
Really? I'm first.
So there's always this big conversation that we have on a lower level, right? As far as officers, because there always seems to believe that there is a disconnect between the command staff and the officers that's actually on patrol, the boots on the ground. How true is that?
Well, I think that one of the things I recognized when I went to a major, the higher you go up, the less interaction and the less the camaraderie you're having with the boots on the ground.
Right.
Your roles are different.
Right.
One, your roles change, and you have more responsibilities. You're looking, you have different responsibilities. So you your roles change and how you go in leadership. But I think there's things to offset that. I really do. I think that a leader really has to be deliberate and making those connections. We started something which actually I stole it from our football coach. Is a leadership council. He developed this leadership council with the football team. So we have a leadership council made up of members of our department that are not supervisors. They're voted by their peers, and then I meet with them. I meet with them once a month, and then we have lunch together also. And there's different things that we do. We do unified roll calls. I have all of our staff attend roll calls, once a month, daytime, nighttime. We do staff ride-alongs, potlucks during the holidays. But you have to listen. You have to listen. And you have to be transparent with some of your decisions. And the boots on the ground may not understand some of the decisions you're making, but if you're transparent and try to explain it, they may not still like the final decision.
But they respect the...
But at least they understand it.
At least you want to understand that. And then a lot of that, also, you have to build your leadership team to deliver and make sure they're being transparent with information that's coming out of staff meetings that's supposed to be shared.
Oh, wow.
On decisions. And, have you ever sat for a sergeant's test?
Yes.
You have. And, you go do those scenarios, the badge exercise and all that stuff, and you may have to deliver a message that's a policy change.
Right.
So, in this world, and probably not just police world, but when things are being changed, or it's they say this, or they're making us do that.
Right.
Who's they?
Right.
Let's identify who they is, and because when you're staff, you're part of they.
Of course.
So when you're delivering those messages, you really have to try to be transparent, communicate why the change is being made, and allow people to try to understand that. They may still not like it. And
right.
A lot of changes people like too.
So, Chief, what are some misconceptions that you wish the public understood when it comes to policing?
Misconceptions. Well, one of the misconceptions, I don't know if it's a misconception, and I think we hear a lot of good stories about law enforcement.
Yes, we do.
And we hear bad things. Listen, if someone crosses the line and does something, I think there's accountability. I do think there's accountability in law enforcement.
Yeah.
I think the public feels that sometimes there's not accountability, but I think that it's a noble profession. It's a profession of very high standards.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very high standards. We follow, we have the IACP, the day chiefs, so we police ourselves,
mm-hmm.
and there is accountability. And I think it's the community, in the public sector, you have the city officials. There's accountability. We owe the accountability to the public, to the community, to our bosses.
Mm-hmm.
So the perception that there's no accountability, I think that's wrong. That's one perception. I think the training, and the wellness people, officers are people too. And one of the things that we've addressed, that over several years is officer wellness, because our officers, including the three of us, we're exposed to a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff out there.
Right.
A lot of different things. Whether you're working a crime suppression team, you're interviewing people, you're a simple domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
People don't tell you the truth most of the time because they don't want to get their partners in trouble. You're exposed to different threats to your own safety. You see traumatic events from, to children dying, whether it's in a car accident or drowning, homicides. So you see a lot of different things. The shift work, that all wears on you.
You also become numb to it also.
You become numb to it. You become numb
Very
to
true.
it. But one of the things that I want the public needs to know that we're human.
Right.
And we have emotions.
Of course.
And what the profession has been doing, especially here in Dade County, is we've been really focusing on the officer wellness. Everyone goes through a program called Struggle Well.
Mhm.
I believe North Miami sends their officers through that. And the Dade Chiefs is a very, very strong proponent of it. They brought in partners from Boulder Crest, and all the Dade agencies have committed to this to send all their officers through it. In fact, they're actually start teaching in the police academy. So, we're not perfect. I don't think there's an officer that goes to work trying to manipulate the system or trying to think they're working an angle to commit a crime or to use force that day. Or I think they go to work with good intentions. And I will tell you, if there's an officer who has mapped out, is doing something illegal, and is going to do something wrong and has planned it, they should be held accountable.
Yep.
There's no room for them in this profession because it tarnishes the badge.
True. What are some of your goals for the UM Police Department?
Well, one of the goals when I first stepped in is really, you asked the separation between staff and boots on the ground.
Right.
I want to strengthen our culture. I want all of our employees to feel very valued. We all have different roles: a police officer, dispatcher, crime prevention manager, or we have a very big camera system, CCTV camera system. But everyone brings value. So one of our goals is really to bring everyone to really feel valued and that their voices are heard.
Right.
Another thing is, we want to enhance our staffing. Put a staffing plan together, and we're working on that. It's important to the university that we provide a professional service. I have great support by our leadership, great support by our partner in the City of Coral Gables Police Department. We we bring the best outfitting, the best equipment, ready to respond to dynamic situations, or all of our officers have the rifles, body-worn cameras. So training is also another thing we want to do. But one of the other things I'd like to do is really develop our people there.
Nice.
And develop opportunities. And one of the challenges at a small police department is opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a lot of promotional opportunities because it's a small agencies. You don't have a lot of opportunities in specialized units. So we're being creative, and we were able to create 2 new sergeant positions. So I've promoted 4 sergeants since I've been there, and working on bringing on three dispatchers, additional dispatchers, and additional police officers.
Nice.
So some of the things we ought to do.
So you guys are hiring.
We are hiring.
Right.
We're hiring police officers and dispatchers.
I saw that, and you guys have some great incentives as far as the education. You guys will pay for education, and you guys get to eat on campus. Then I'm urged to ask you, why should someone apply for UMPD?
Well, here's one of the very unique things. We're a small agency.
Okay.
About 36 officers. Trying to get that number over the next 2 years up to about 42. But when you go to work and you have the sole responsibility of protecting the community of students who are in a great on an education, this is our future.
Mm-hmm.
And then also protecting the staff, the professors there. In law enforcement, you don't want to say it's, you're not taking traffic stops. We do take traffic stops. We have roads around our campus, through our campus, but it's a unique opportunity where you could really, if you like engaging and making a positive influence on a younger generation, our future, it's very rewarding. We do a lot of outreach. A lot of the students know our officers by name. You have students every semester. You have students come in, and you have students leave. So, and then they're there for 4 years, give or take.
Right.
But it's a very family oriented
Department.
Yeah, you're not getting lost. Everyone knows everyone's name. We're very, very close. We come together if an employee is having a stressful time at home, if they're going through something at work. We really come together to provide support and a lot of celebrations too.
How fast and how is the process as far as from the moment you apply to the moment you get hired?
And also, are you guys taking non-certified officers too, or is it just certified?
So right now it's just certified. I am getting ready to start a pilot program to do a non-certified. I'm working out the final logistics on that. I know we have Miami-Dade. There's a couple academies starting up in January and possibly February. So I'm looking to put someone in there as a pilot program.
Of course.
But, we have been traditionally hiring sworn
Police officers.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's just like any other department, very strict. We follow all the FDLE requirements.
Okay.
Background can be done, 2-3 months. Just the background. You got the psych, the
Polygraph.
medical, all those things. Good.
Nice.
But yeah, I think normal. Work very competitive with other agencies because we know we have people who apply with us and apply for other agencies. We have to move them along.
Right.
It's saying if you don't move someone along, they're going to go with another agency.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Chief, what do you think about the retention of law enforcement police officers nationwide? What is going on? Because a lot of agencies, not only they are losing officers, but they have a tough time retaining a lot of the officers. From your perspective, how do we mitigate that issue?
Well, we're no different from. We have to be competitive.
Okay.
You ought to be competitive in your benefits, right? And your salaries. Work environments. I think work environments is huge. I think agencies and organizations. We do a survey every 2 years or so, and it really looks at the employee engagement and the culture of the workplace.
Yeah.
You have to focus on that. People are going to chase money. I think a lot of the younger generation people, they're not as loyal, and they're looking to, what's next? How can I get something better sooner?
Right.
I do think that comes into play with it. But I think how we treat people, when we come together, when you can walk in and feel valued and feel like you're part of a family, fair treatment, I think all those things play a difference. But you can't ignore benefits. You can't ignore salaries and things like that. The equipment, we got to make sure that we're getting our officers equipment and treating our officers fairly.
So, Chief, I know when you were policing back then, there weren't any body cameras. So body cameras came around like 2019, 2020. Were there any cons to you with officers wearing body cameras?
Do I feel there's any cons with it?
Yes.
I love them. I think it's a way for the profession to be very transparent with the community on interactions that the police are having during their course of their duties. I think it tells the real story.
Right.
I think it's used for training our officers.
Right.
So I think it changes behaviors. It changes behaviors in the people you're dealing with too.
For sure.
It's you go in and you have that body camera. It's changing the behavior of them.
Right.
Of the citizen you're dealing with. So and if it changes behavior in officers, and if it changes behavior to make it better, then why not? But I wish, when I was doing the internal affairs in North Miami, we didn't have them. I wish we had them at the time.
Right.
We didn't have them. It would eliminate a lot of
the complaints, right?
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them.
You had the chance to work on campus and off campus. What is the major difference?
Well, I think the major difference, policing, is policing. When I was a younger officer, I loved getting out there, and I loved protecting the community.
Right.
How that was. I loved the different assignments. If we're looking for people who are committing crimes, but I also liked the good things that North Miami did. We started the monthly bike ride. We had the National Night Out, working with the community,
Right.
coming together. But when you're on that college campus, it's like a 24/7 community relations.
Yes.
You're really connected, and you're not just connected by doing the table in advance and doing the bike rides, and we have our National Night Out. But when you're walking that campus, you know your community.
Right.
That community and your family.
Right.
The deans, right? The dean of students, the facilities and operations, the students, your family. Your family. You're coming into this hub every day,
Right.
where you have a percentage of the students reside in there, to protect them. That's our job.
Right.
To educate them,
Mm-hmm.
to nurture them for their growth,
Okay.
and it's just a tremendous feeling. And it really is. It's an excellent feeling. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Chief, were you always a Kane fan, or did you end up being a fan when you got there?
Okay. So I was a Kane fan growing up here at Miami-Dade in North Miami, but when I became part of that family,
Okay.
it's when you're part of the Kane family,
It's different.
It's different. it is different. Our work group, we went down there. The former Chief Trevor, we went down there and tailgated. But when you see the things behind it, when you know the athletic director, when you know some of the members of the coaching staff, and just not with the football team, with
Right.
the women's basketball team, the men's basketball team, the baseball team, you see all the work they're doing behind the scenes.
Of course.
And the improvements they're making to the athletics and to the university. That's one of the. Listen, when I was a football coach, when I was a young man, I would come down and do the football camps with Coach Randy Shannon when he was the head coach, who actually came to North Miami. I don't know if you know this story, but he graduated from Norland.
Mm-hmm.
So going into his senior year, he had come over and started working out with our football team. He was going to try to transfer over,
Right.
but that didn't work out. And, good thing, because we played the same position. I probably would have been
Right.
probably taken my position. But no, we did the football camps down there. I was a Kane fan, but it's to say you're a Kane fan, but being a member, a family of the Canes.
Right.
It's great to be a Kane. When you get your education there, when you work, when you're protecting the community, when you're collaborating with all the key stakeholders on campus
Of course.
to make it a better place. It's all part of it, and it really feels good. I know when they next Thursday night when they face Ole Miss,
Yes.
it's going to be exciting.
Of course.
When Coach Cristobal came in here, he was on a mission, and he's done some wonderful things here. And I know he's looking to be 1-0 after Thursday, because one game at a time.
Right. Of course, we had Devin Hester, we had Ray Lewis, who made it all the way to the Hall of Fame. Do you see any talents there now that you could say for sure that kid or that person has the potential of being the next big thing in the NFL?
Malachi Tony.
For sure. And he just turned 18.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. We're going to see him on Sundays. I think they have some big offense linemen. In
Ruben Bain.
That's
another one, yeah.
And Mesidor.
Yeah.
Our buddy James Mesidor.
James Mesidor,
who's
yeah.
at FIU.
Right.
We talk a lot because we're both in the education. He's at FIU and I'm at UM, so we talk a lot. And that's one thing that I've learned in my journey is you cannot go into your job without reaching out to your network, people in the profession,
Right.
and to continue to try to learn.
Right.
And that's one of the great things about the Dade Chiefs and the FBI National Academy, and just reach out, pick up a phone, and communicate. You ought to start a new program. How are you doing things there? With the recent incident at Brown University. There's
Right.
been a lot of communication between the different schools, and law enforcement. We always assess.
Do you guys constantly train for stuff like that?
Oh yeah, we train. We train all the time.
Right.
We train all the time. We do. Our officers do mustering drills weekly. We do tabletops several times throughout the year. We do active shooter training with the Coral Gables Police Department.
Right. Chief, how was your experience, or how was the FBI Academy training?
It was by far the best law enforcement training I've ever received.
Wow.
One of the things when you're gonna learn, you take leadership courses. But when you go there, you have to cut loose from your position here to do it right. You really have to cut loose. And if you have members in your department who've been there before, they know that and they understand that. So
Okay.
you go there, and it's your time. They focused on a lot of wellness, resilience, your own leadership style.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to really reflect, to take away some knowledge, but to really assess where you're at, and how you got to where you're at, and what positive changes you could make in your own life with your well-being and your leadership style, the friendships, the networking. It's unbelievable. They challenge you, physically challenge you through the different physical challenges, and then the coursework is it's not easy. You got to get up there and do your coursework. You take different classes, but it's fun. It was very, very unique. There's not a week that goes by that someone doesn't reach out for me from from my session. I was in session. I actually had an opportunity to go there twice because I went up at session 255 and I was there for about a week, and they had the federal government shutdown.
Oh, okay.
So I went back in 257. Yeah.
Yeah, but Chief, I have to ask you. So, what keeps you motivated in such a demanding role like this?
I want to make a positive impact. I want to make a positive impact on the community. I think that not only the community, but I want to have a positive impact on the men and women in the police department, and the profession itself. I work closely with the Coral Gables Police Department, and how can I influence? I want to develop the men and women at the University of Miami Police Department. And when you leave someplace, they're not going to remember if you got approval to get 6 more vehicles, or you brought in 6 more officers. You're gonna remember how you treated people.
Right.
You're gonna remember how you treated the men and women there.
Of course. Chief, you are a father of 3.
I am.
How is it being a father? How was your experience?
Well, they're all girls.
All girls?
Shay, Amber, and Lexi, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Love it. They're all unique. They're all a little bit different.
You never wish you had a boy, Chief?
I always thought I wanted a boy.
Right.
But after experiencing 3 women, the 3 girls, I would never do it.
And girls take care of you.
They do.
They're gonna take care of their dad.
My one daughter lives 2 doors down from me. My youngest daughter is she's in UCF finishing the doctorate program, so she'll be graduating in May. And my oldest daughter lives in South Carolina. She's got 3 beautiful children, and she's doing very well with her husband Justin, and they've given me 5 grandchildren so far, and
right.
The youngest one's getting married in April. And they all played some sports. Some played more sports than others, but they all did well in school. That made me proud, and they're involved in the church.
Right.
So it's important to our family.
Yeah. Any questions? So, Chief, what now?
What now? Sometimes when I was in school, and when I say I just finished my master's program,
Okay.
found it very challenging. I did find it challenging. I wanted to continue to learn, and you know, I feel challenged right now because I'm new to my position. I'm coming on just inside of a year. So I have some goals.
Okay.
You know, staffing's one of them. You know, we're looking at how we could improve the work environment for our men and women. It's always important because that's what we said earlier. You know, how do we separate, bring the boots on the ground leadership together so there's a better understanding. So what's next for me? I'm excited about this position. I want the department to grow.
Okay.
I really want the department to grow. I want to continue to receive knowledge, and how I do that is through networking through the day chiefs, looking for other leadership courses, but that's where I'm at right now. And continue my own well-being. That's very important.
All right.
Turning 60 this year, so
Congrats.
my own well-being. That's a challenge,
Right.
in itself. But yeah.
Chief, 36 years of experience in law enforcement. Beyond the badge, let's say when the gun and the badge is off, what do you enjoy doing personally?
Well, I enjoy fishing.
Okay.
I love the water. As a young kid, I grew up in the water with my father. He took us fishing a lot. So my brother and I both like to fish. We go down to the Keys often. In fact, he went out yesterday with a flamingo, and he didn't invite me.
It was a little chilly yesterday too.
Yeah, he went out. He had a good time. I also like gardening.
Really?
I like. My mom loved plants, and I do a lot of bonsais and
Really?
orchids. I'll find something that's being thrown away at Home Depot. I'll take it home and rescue it.
Right.
Yeah, so I like gardening, and I love cooking outdoors. I love getting on the smoker and cooking. I love, stay active, try
Right.
to exercise.
Right.
Try to do a little exercise almost every day, even if it's just taking a walk or going to the gym. And I like being with my a beautiful woman in my life.
Nice.
Mikey, and I enjoy spending time with her.
So, Chief, what advice would you give somebody that's actually interested in law enforcement or getting into it?
Well, it's a great profession. It's a noble profession. There's opportunity for growth in law enforcement. You continue education. If you don't have your education, a lot of agencies require education.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
At least associate's degree.
If you do the research on the different agencies you like to work for, you have to maintain a good moral character, and when you get in, be transparent, be truthful during the hiring process, because if you're not, that will eliminate you right off the bat. But when you get in, be receptive to feedback, have the desire to continue to grow as a person and in the profession, because there's a lot to do in the profession. It could take you in many different avenues, from detectives, the crime scene. You get into first line supervisors that you continue to grow. I remember sitting at the roll calls at the old station on 131st Street downstairs, and as a police officer, and I would never imagine myself being a sergeant.
Wow.
No, I was happy out getting in that car, getting out and going onto the west side on 7th Avenue and patrolling and going to the calls. I was excited about that. Just like I'm excited about my role as a chief right now. But continue to challenge yourself, continue to look for opportunities for growth.
Right.
And when that opportunity presents itself, it's not luck, it's how you prepared yourself. So continue to educate, continue to pick the minds of your peers, the senior officers, pick up a book and read it, if you don't have your education, maybe you want to work on it part time. That's what I did. I didn't get my undergraduate until I was close to 40 years old.
Wow.
But it set me up, and it allowed me to be more competitive when I was going for that major's position, a commander's position at North Miami, for the position as a lieutenant with the University of Miami. And then when I got there, I enjoyed being an administrative lieutenant. But when the opportunity, I said, well, if an opportunity presents itself, now I have to prepare myself. So I went and got my master's. I challenged myself. I got the master's. So I better prepared myself. So, yeah, I continue to prepare yourself and gain knowledge and positive, receive feedback well.
Chief, you say you started off as a patrol officer. Can you walk us through each unit you joined?
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons my career, it seemed like career flew by. I had so much fun. We did so many different things. So I started off as a patrol officer, and then they were expanding the K-9 team.
Okay.
And so I went to K-9, I think it was in 92. And we were really the first department. North Miami was the first department that went all Malinois. Now everyone has them. But,
right.
Yeah, so we went with Malinois. So I was in the K-9 unit, and at some point during when I was in the K-9 unit, Chief each wanted to bring back the crime suppression unit. We didn't have a crime suppression unit, but we were understaffed.
Correct.
So he's going to pull one motorman, one K-9 guy, one detective, and someone from patrol, and make it a crime suppression.
Okay.
So I got selected to
be a part of it.
My dog, yeah, we painted my K-9 card jet blue. So I worked the crime suppression with the dog for about 4 years, maybe. Under McCurdy, and then they're rotating new people in there. So I went back to patrol and became an FTO. I enjoyed that. And then I had an opportunity to go up into investigations.
Oh, so you did an investigation?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Investigations. At some point, I don't remember when, but I was on the sergeant's list. I studied for the sergeant exam. And then I got promoted to sergeant when I was in CID.
Okay.
So I went back to patrol as a sergeant.
Yeah.
And at some point, we had started the first SWAT team. Lieutenant Miller he was lieutenant at the time. I don't know if you remember him. Miller,
yes.
Yeah, Melvin was on the first SWAT team.
Right.
I think that was in 92. And then after that, Ronnie Simpson gave me turned over the crisis negotiation team to me now. I think Crystal runs the crisis negotiation team.
Yes, she does.
And, so I ran the crisis negotiation team. Went back up to CID as a sergeant.
Okay.
And at some point, we had lieutenants at the time. I took the lieutenant's test, and that was being phased out. They did away with lieutenants. So I think it was, I can't remember if it was Steve Johnson. He made me lieutenant for a day and then made me
commander.
And they put me back in CID as a commander, and then I got involved doing internal affairs.
Okay.
And then they put me in internal affairs as a commander, and then when I got promoted to major, we moved around a little bit. I left having administration and CID, and then as a major, I think I moved around different roles a couple times. But it was a fun career. I really enjoyed it.
Of course.
Met a lot of great people, and there was some times when we had some folks come in, Francia Bird, and man, what a wonderful lady she was. And to get George Manresa, I learned so much from George Manresa. I'm actually applying a lot of things that he had taught me. He didn't realize he taught me, but when he was managing that budget and stuff, because that's something new to me in my role, is really overseeing the budget for the department.
Were you born in North Miami, Chief?
I was born in North Miami Hospital. Turned into Johnson and Wales.
Johnson and Wales.
What it is now?
No, it's Matter Academy.
Matter Academy.
They sold it Matter.
Right, yeah.
Yes, Matter Academy. Yeah. The reason I asked is because next year The city's celebrating, actually this year, the city's celebrating 100 years.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you being someone, you know, I was
I
born
like to
here
come to
and
those celebrations. I really like to be part of it. I would love to come in any celebrations the city does. I would
Okay.
love to be there. You know, sometimes I talk to Kevin Burns every once in a while. I know he's still involved a little bit.
yeah,
But we just went through that. The university just turned
50,
100. The university just turned 100.
100, nice.
2025. Yeah, the university was founded in 1920.
The police department, I believe the police department been there for 50 years.
Yeah,
But nice.
Yeah, Hollywood just celebrated 100 years this year also.
yeah. So the university was founded in 1925, and so was Coral Gables. They
Nice.
just turned 100. So
Right.
we had everything was great. We had a centennial homecoming. We had a centennial celebration. So yeah,
That's amazing.
It was nice. I like centennial graduate because I
Right.
graduated in 2025. So it was a lot of fun.
Chief, we're going to give you 30 seconds to speak not only life, but to speak to someone who wants to join the profession or someone who's afraid to take the leap of faith to either join another department or to take a sergeant test or to actually advance in their profession. What advice would you give to them?
Challenge yourself. Really do some self-assessment of where you're at now and where you want to go. Set that goal and how are you going to get there. Don't be afraid to reach out, to have a conversation with someone at the department you either want to go into or someone who's in law enforcement now. Get over to the academy and talk to the administrators over there. But if you sit back and just ponder it, you're not gonna take that risk. Make it a prudent risk and make it a prudent decision. Do your homework, and the world's the limit, really. If I would have sat here and told you I was going to be a chief or a major,
Wow.
forget a major or working at the University of Miami.
Right.
I mean, who else could say that they're the chief
All right.
at the University of Miami? And it's great to be a Cane right now.
Of course.
So, I mean, but you got to make prudent decisions, and you got to be willing to take that risk. Set yourself up for success.
Thank you, Chief, for stopping by for an interview today, Chief. Thank you so much. And at this time, we would like to thank all of our continuous sponsors: AZ Formal Wears, Gourmet Gathering, Chick-fil-A Miami Shores, Stardust Studio, and we'd like to thank Comprehensive Health Center. But most importantly, we want to thank you, our viewers and listening, for tuning in every week. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.